Hello and welcome back. Now that we have the sign up working, let's go ahead and add the sign in controller. Okay, so in the controllers, I'll create a new file. I'll call this signin.ts. Okay, so for this way, you would just validate the request.body and then we check if the email or what the input that the user is adding is an email or not. Okay, so here I'll create, I'll export a function. So export async function. I'll call this read request of type request. Yeah, I expected this, so let me just, okay, and then response of type response, promise of type void, promise should be uppercase P. Okay, now let's do what we did here. We'll go to sign up. Let me copy this part. Okay, so this is used for the validation, so I'm going to validate, but here this is going to be sign in schema, or let's see what we called it, or login. I think it was called login. Yes, it was called login scheme or schema. Okay, so let me import this and then import this as well. Now for the message, this is going to be sign in read method error. Okay, so we validate the request body. Remember, the request body has a field username, but it could either be an email or a username string. Okay, then the next thing is, let's get the username and password from, or equal to, I beg your pardon, request.body. Okay, and now we want to check if this field, if it's an email or if it's a regular string. Okay, so I'll say const is valid email equal to is email coming from our shared library, and I'll pass username. Okay, so if it's an email, it returns true. If it's not, it will return false. This is of type boolean. Okay, now I'll create a variable. I'll say let existing user, okay, of type Auth document. Okay, now if it's not a valid email, so if the property is not an email, so if is valid email, so if it is false, then we'll say existing user equal to await get auth user. Let's see what the method is. So let's go to the service. So go to services, auth service. The method we need is get auth user by username. Yes, or get user by username. Okay, so I'll add this method, get user by username, and I'll pass the username. Okay, so I need to import this. Else is going to be get user by email. Okay, let me duplicate this. This is going to be get user by email. I think we can still change this. We can use the ternary operator. Okay, so I will say, let me use this one instead. So I'll say, let me use the ternary operator. If it's false, call get user by username, else call get user by email. Okay, and then here I think we can just do this. Let me cast it. Let's see what the reason is. Okay, I'll change this to const. Okay, so what I've done here, if it's not an email, then it's a username, then you call get user by username. But if it's an email, we call get user by email. Okay. And now if we need to check if there's any data, so if no existing user, so if it does not return any data either by username or email, that means the user does not exist. Then we need to throw new bad request error. I'll change this to invalid credentials. Okay, sign in read method. Okay, so if this does not return any documents, then I will throw new bad request error. And now we need to check if the passwords match. So if existing user returns an object, then we need to compare the passwords. So passwords match. Okay, it's going to be a boolean equal to await auth model. Now if we go to the auth model, remember we already created a prototype method called compare password. Okay, so we need to use this. So auth model dot prototype dot compare password. Okay, and then here we are going to pass in the password that the user is sending from the front end, and then we are going to pass in the existing user password. So existing user dot password. Okay, so this is the password from the database. Let's see to make sure that we are not excluding it. Okay, yeah, we are not excluding password. Okay, now we have this. The next thing is we need to sign the token. I'll copy what I have here. Okay, we need this. I'm going to sign the token. But first I'll say if passwords match is false, then we throw an error. Okay, so if the passwords do not match, invalid credentials, sign in read method error. Okay, and then here we can call user JWT of type string equal to sign token, and then this is going to be existing user dot ID, existing user dot, I think the next one should be email and username, existing user dot username. Okay, so this will sign the token. And then remember that here we are not omitting the password, but we want to send the existing user object. We need to omit the password. We need to remove the password. Okay, we don't want to send the password, so I will say const user data of type iauth document equal to omit, okay, from Lodash, and we want to omit from which document? Existing user. And then what do we want to omit? We want to omit the password. Okay, and then the next thing will be we can send this. Here I'll use OK. I can import this. So this will be user data. So user login successfully. Okay, so this is just all we need to do right here. To just go through it one more time, we validate the request body data, and then we check if is the username an email. If it's not an email, we get the user data by the username. If it's an email, we get the user data by email. If no object is returned, we throw an error. But if an object is returned, we compare the passwords. So the password in the database with the password the user typed or is sending from the front end. If no password, if the password does not match, we throw an error. But if it does, we sign a token, and then we omit the password because we don't want to send the password along with the documents to the API gateway and then to the front end. And then we call our status JSON right here. Okay, now let's quickly add this to the routes. Okay, so for the routes, this is going to be sign in. Okay, and then the method is called read. okay, and then we need to import it. So import it right here. Okay, so we've added it now to the Auth service. Let's go ahead and add it to the API gateway. So go to your API gateway source. Remember we've already added all the functions, okay, that we need. Now we want to make use of this sign in. So go to controllers, Auth, and then I'll create a new file. I'll call this signin.ts. Yeah, here you can just duplicate what you have here. Okay, you can duplicate what you have here and then paste right here. And then let's make changes. I'll call this sign in, and the method will be called read. Now here, instead of sign up, I'm going to call sign in. Okay, so I will use sign in right here. And then for this as well, yeah, we can set the session. So if the user is logging in, we set the session. Okay, so this is what we want. Let's go ahead and add it to the route. So for the route, this is going to be sign in dot read, and then change this to sign in. Okay, so with this now we have the sign up route both in the Auth service and the API gateway. Also the sign up route in the Auth service and also in the API gateway.